Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a steampunk film called Mortal Engines. Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The premise of the movie is set far in the future. At the beginning of the movie, a voice tells us about the most devastating war mankind has ever faced in history, called the 60 Minutes War. A war that only lasted for 60 minutes, but shattered the Earth's crust into 1,000 pieces that rearranged the former continents. The few remaining humans formed mobile cities called traction cities, the cities which can move on wheels when needed. As several such cities were established, a system called municipal Darwinism came into order. According to municipal Darwinism, the larger cities, called the predators, could hunt the smaller ones and take over their resources for survival. At the beginning of the movie, a girl hiding her face under a scarf is overlooking the mountains using her telescope. She sees the massive city of London approaching her way and runs back to her town called Salzhaken. Salzhaken is being attacked by the larger predator city, London. As the officials find out about London approaching them, everyone in the town gets to work. The engines start, and within seconds, the town transforms itself into a vehicle, ready to set off. London closes in on Salzhaken while it tries to escape. In London, many civilians enjoy overviewing the chase as they cheer for their city to win. The Lord Mayor of London is named Magnus Krome. He commands the operators on what measures to take. People from Salzhaken try their best to escape, but ultimately get caught under Krome's command. The town is then ingested into the Predator City. Inside London, we see various infrastructures. It has museums, where statues of minions are praised as American deities. It is revealed that people interpreted the aftermath of the 60-minute war however they pleased. Tom Natsworthy is a low-class apprentice historian of London. He works at the London Museum. That day, Catherine Valentine, the daughter of Deputy Lord Mayor Thaddeus Valentine, awaits Tom for a history lesson. Tom is late to assist Catherine, but unlike other elites, she is friendly and kind to him. The two walk around the museum, looking at historic things like smartphones and computers. When Catherine shows interest in the 60-second war, Tom shows her a video of the war that he was able to retrieve from an old hard drive. Tom explains that a quantum energy weapon called the Medusa was used to fight the war and was the reason the Earth was shattered into pieces. He then reveals that the museum has several weapon techs, but bits and pieces of them have been going missing frequently. Since his seniors don't respond to his concerns about the missing tech, he has kept the weapons in a locker of his own so they wouldn't be stolen. Outside the room, Tom's senior, Herbert, eavesdrops on their conversation. He demotes Tom to a lower level of the city, but Catherine accompanies him. Meanwhile, the people from Salzhaken are made to evacuate their city, which is to be demolished later. They are told to bring their belongings with them and are restricted from bringing any weapons. However, the girl with the scarf manages to smuggle in a knife. Tom and Catherine come to the lowest zone, where the people of Salzhaken are being checked. Their job is to gather new electronics that the Salzhaken has. Tom is fascinated to see a toaster that is of the highest kind. Just then, Deputy Lord Mayor and Catherine's father, Valentine, praises Tom for knowing so much about technology. As they talk, a worker brings a dangerous old tech device used in nuclear weapons and hands it to Valentine. The way Valentine talks about the weapon unsettles Tom. Meanwhile, the girl with the scarf approaches Valentine. As he talks to the people, the girl stabs him, saying that this is for her mother, Pandora Shaw. Valentine is shocked to hear the name. Before the girl can make another strike, Tom stops her and chases after her as she runs away. Both end up in the town of Salzhaken, which is now being demolished. They somehow manage to get past the demolisher and to the waste chute. The girl falls into the chute, but is caught by Tom, who is intrigued to see a nasty scar on her face. She tells him her name is Hester Shaw and that Valentine murdered her mother right before letting go of his hand. Hester then falls into the chute before Valentine arrives at the place. Tom asks him about Pandora Shaw and looks at Valentine in suspicion. At last, Valentine pushes Tom to the waste chute after Hester and acts innocent when his daughter arrives. Later, Catherine and Valentine are in his chamber when she asks him about Pandora Shaw. He dismisses her question, but Catherine is sure he is hiding something from her. Meanwhile, Tom lands unconscious on the outskirts of an unknown location, and Hester robs him of his money. When he wakes up, she leaves him behind, but Tom follows her. She is furious at Tom for ruining the plan she had been working on for the past 6 months. Tom asks her to help him get back to London because that is his home, but Hester ignores him and continues walking. Back in London, the Lord Mayor is furious at Valentine for bringing them to Europe, because of which they are running low on food and water. Valentine brings up his energy project and claims that it is the only thing that can help London, but the Lord Mayor is skeptical of his plan. At night, Hester and Tom are resting when they are attacked by some scavengers from the south who hunt people. An old couple with their land-roving vehicle come to their aid and save them from the scavengers. They even give the two a tiny room to rest. Hester was hurt while trying to save Tom from the scavengers earlier. She dresses her wound to some extent and lies down. A while later, she tells Tom that her mother, Pandora Shaw, was an archaeologist who loved to dig up buried tech of the past. She worked closely with Valentine, who was always fascinated by her findings. Until one day, Pandora dug up something that Valentine wanted and that she didn't want him to have. That day, he killed Pandora and sliced Hester's face in the process. Hester also mentions a necklace that Pandora handed her before asking her to run away. A single tear rolls down her cheek as she finishes telling the story. Meanwhile, back in London, Valentine visits the repurposed St. Paul's Cathedral, where he is secretly developing the nuclear weapon Medusa. The historic tech that has gone missing from the museum was stolen by Valentine for the same purpose. He has realized that the small cities to hunt are starting to vanish, and soon London will have no food and resources. Hence, he wants to strike the non-moving kingdom of Shanguo, an anti-traction city that has all the resources London will need for hundreds of years. However, Shanguo is firmly protected by the shield wall. So, Valentine wants to create Medusa to destroy it and take over the city. After that, Valentine hears the news of a cyborg being found in the seas by a small town. He visits the creature when one of his companions tells him he will be of use to kill Hester. The creature is captured in a case and tells Valentine that Hester has broken a promise she made to him, because of which he wants to kill her. Hearing this, Valentine lets the creature go. In the meantime, Catherine visits Tom's friend Beavis to ask him what her father is hiding from her. Beavis somehow knows that Valentine pushed Tom into the chute. Catherine almost doesn't believe him when Beavis adds that her father is also running a secret project. In return for the information, she offers to show him the historic tech that Tom had shown her at the beginning of the movie. Meanwhile, Hester is still asleep aboard the old couple's vehicle when Tom wakes her up. He says that the vehicle has turned south, so the couple has lied to them. Tom finds a way out under the floor, but Hester cannot jump off because of her injury. He refuses to go without her, and both are soon caught. They are then held hostage and put up for slave auction in a town. Hester is almost bought by a man when suddenly, a girl that stands out from the crowd claims Hester for herself. The auctioneer recognizes the girl as a wanted criminal and member of the Anti-Traction League, Anna Fang. She kills the auctioneer in a single shot and asks Tom and Hester to run away. However, they do not get far before suddenly, the cyborg from earlier who wanted to kill Hester arrives. Hester recognizes him as Shrike. Shrike approaches the two as they run away from him. He almost gets them, but they are saved by Anna again. Anna then flies them in her airship and tells Hester she looks like her mother. Sensing the two's curiosity, Hester reveals how she knows Shrike. It turns out that he had found her after Valentine killed Pandora, and ever since has been her parent. Shrike raised her and helped her survive in the world. He is the only cyborg left after all of his kind were killed. One day, Shrike was fed up with always seeing Hester sad, so he made an exoskeleton with the intention to transform her into a cyborg as well. Hester promised him that she would go through with the plan, but found out about Valentine's whereabouts right after. Hence, she ran away, and Shrike followed her in order to kill her for breaking the promise. Tom is stunned to hear the story. The two are then taken to an airborne city called the Air Haven, where they meet other members of the Anti-Traction League. They have caught up upon Valentine's suspicious activities and know it has something to do with Pandora. Hence, they have recruited Hester to find out more about Valentine's plan. Hester informs them of a box that Valentine killed her mother for. As they talk about the box, Tom remembers the time a worker handed Valentine some old tech used in the 60-second war. He finally realizes that Valentine is planning to restart Medusa, the weapon that destroyed the Earth many centuries earlier. He tells everyone that the box was the computer core system to initiate the quantum energy weapon, Medusa. The only way to stop the weapon is a crash drive, a type of key that overrides Medusa's firing sequence. Back in London, Tom's superior at work, Herbert, tells Valentine about the old tech that Tom had hidden. He quickly sends his men to recruit the devices. At the same time, Catherine also brings Beavis to the museum, but sees that the devices have already been stolen. The museum's overseer shows them a secret way to St. Paul's Cathedral so that the duo can see Valentine's project for themselves. They make their way upstairs to the church, where they see a massive piece of machinery that Valentine calls Medusa. It has finally been completed and is ready for attack. They hide behind a wall and listen to Valentine talk about attacking Shanguo. Just then, the current Lord Mayor enters the church and orders the guards to arrest Valentine for conducting the unlawful experiment. However, the guards stay in place, revealing that they work for Valentine now. At last, he kills the Lord Mayor as a horrified Catherine watches. The two escape from the stairs later. At the Airhaven, suddenly the lights go off and Shrike arrives looking for Hester. Chaos ensues as the whole city lights on fire. Tom and Hester run away from Shrike, but he battles with the Anti-Traction League members and soon catches up with the two. He is about to kill Tom when Hester begs him not to. Seeing her crying for someone, Shrike realizes that she has finally found someone she loves and isn't unhappy anymore. That means he doesn't have to convert her into a cyborg. A severely injured Shrike hands Hester the necklace Pandora had given her and dies instantly. Hester, Tom, and the members of the Anti-Traction League now make their way to the city of Shanguo. They meet Shanguo's governor, Quan, and tell him of Valentine's plan. Anna suggests he help launch the anti-tractionist fleet against London, because if they strike first, the chances of Shanguo's survival are less. Quan orders the guards to strike at London before they strike them. Tom retaliates, saying that innocent Londoners should not be punished for Valentine's mistakes. Quan claims that if there was another way to defend his city, he would. Then, everyone starts to prepare for the battle, as Tom walks away, annoyed. Hester and an Anti-Tractionist League member, Sathya, pray when Hester notices that the necklace her mother gave her has a crash drive inside. She and Tom quickly run to Anna to tell her about the finding. However, right then, Valentine launches the first attack on the shield wall and destroys it partially. It sends the city of Shanguo into havoc. People are pushed around because of the force created by the explosion. Immediately after the first strike, Valentine orders to recharge the system and launch the second strike. However, the recharge will take some time. After getting the crash drive, Anna and the others from the Anti-Tractionist League, along with Hester and Tom, get on their respective ships and fly towards London. Intense air combat ensues between the two cities. Many of the Anti-Tractionist League's members are killed in the battle, but Anna, Tom, and Hester ascend unharmed. Anna manages to hover the aircraft above London, and Hester gets inside, taking the crash drive with her. Sometime later, she makes Tom handle the aircraft and gets herself to London as well. She attacks Valentine up front to distract him, so that Hester can use the drive to override the system. Now, only 60 seconds are left for the missile to be launched, but Hester manages to stop it in the last few seconds. Valentine looks over at Hester when Anna asks her to run away. He then pushes Anna from a platform, killing her. Valentine finally confronts his daughter Catherine outside and asks her to come with him to a safe place. She belittles him for killing everyone for power and runs inside. Inside the control room of London, Valentine's men kill all the operators. Enraged with his first plan not working, Valentine has decided to crash the whole of London into the shield wall to break it. Catherine tries to pull the brakes, but the system has been corrupted. She tells Tom about the situation through a radio. Tom then asks Catherine to open the engine's gate. He flies inside the engine system in his aircraft and destroys the engines by launching missiles in the hopes of stopping London from colliding with the wall. At the same time, Valentine gets on an aircraft to take off and avoid the crash himself. However, Hester confronts the man and points her gun at him. They get into a fight, and Hester remembers her mother had an affair with Valentine. The thought distracts her, and Valentine gets the upper hand. At last, she manages to free herself and latch on to Tom's aircraft. When she is safe, Tom launches a missile at Valentine's aircraft and finally kills him. London stops seconds before crashing into the wall, and all the residents come outside. They walk to Shanguo in the hopes of starting a new life. The movie ends as Tom and Hester hug, promising to travel the world with one another. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.